Morning from beautiful Girona. It's an early Thursday morning, and today's an exciting one because I'm getting to experience Girona from a cyclist perspective. We're going to see a bit of coffee, we're going to see a bit of good food, we're also going to see the beautiful roads and the history and culture, and why a whole load of World Tour pros decide to live here, I guess. So we're going to delve in deeper, but first I need a bit of breakfast and a nice coffee, because otherwise I'm not getting anywhere. Can't start a day without a good coffee, and Girona really does have a plethora of good coffee shops. Manon's behind the camera right now, so yeah. So anyway, I'm gonna down this, and then get changed and head out with the team. So pretty excited for today. But I still look like I've just woken up. It is a fresh morning here in Girona. It's early February, so it's still winter. So the temperatures at night get down to below freezing, and as soon when the sun comes up, it tends to heat it up pretty quickly. But I'm really excited to head to the Castelli shop to meet the team and to meet Rory Sutherland, an ex-pro of 20 years and someone who's decided to call Girona home after retirement. We're heading out with a group from Girona, and we're going to find out, what a casual group ride is like here in one of, I guess, the cycling capitals, Girona. Wow. You ready? Let's go. And here it is. The Castelli store. It's a pretty special store, actually. There he is.
Morning.
Mate, so I got camera in hand.
Hi, mate.
How are you, bro? You okay?
It's a bit cold.
But it's cold, isn't it? I think this is the only group ride that you kind of start with mini croissants. I like that. It's perfect.
Can I fill my pocket?
Solid group out for today's ride, and everyone's quiet.
Back wheels.
Ow. Today's ride's 50k. Not quite sure where we're going, but I'm pretty excited just to get out with a whole host of different people, from holiday makers to residents, and also different bikes too. Is out, and we're heading out of town, heading to, I'm guessing, the mountains, but definitely a quieter area of Girona, and good group. I mean, this is a winter ride, so it's quite a solid turnout. Caught up with James here, fellow UK man, who's actually decided to set up shop here, started a family here in Girona. James, what do you love about Girona?
What isn't there to love about Girona? Fantastic roads, fantastic drivers. I think that's probably one of the key things, is you feel incredibly safe whilst riding around here. The weather, you know, for everybody still living in England, you can't beat the blue skies in the winter. Yeah, it might be cold to begin with, but we'll be stripping down come the afternoon.
There we go, so we joined Rory on the front. Yeah, place he's quite used to. He spent, best part of 20 years sitting on the front of the Pro Pasa.
Haven't done it for a while though.
How does it feel riding again, back on your old Movistar bike?
Social now, social. Less Spanish speaking and more social. No, it's good. It's a beautiful area to ride, and I didn't ride for the last probably 2 years since I retired, so it's nice to have a big group of people to actually do it socially with.
It's not all flat riding here in Girona. There's definitely a fair few climbs to get yourself into. and we're just starting the ascent of our first big climb. The name I've forgotten, but I can definitely feel it. There's always a battle. It's taking him back.
I can't do it anymore.
He's dropped the majority.
Yeah, but now I'm dead. I used to be able to do this.
Come on, Rory! Dig in, runner!
Times change.
The attacks are real. You love it?
I like it. I like it. That's my boss, eh?
I know. Nothing like dropping your boss on a group ride, eh? I guess like any group ride, being able to open the legs. Oh, he's putting another attack.
Hey, that's you.
Never count out Rory Sutherland.
Still got it.
He's still got it.
No, not really. It's different when you're 40. You don't ride bikes. You don't ride bikes ever.
Ride. Yeah. And nothing like stretching the legs. Phew.
This is fun. You still get that competitiveness of like, oh, I can do this. And then you realise you don't really ride a bike so much anymore, and apparently you can't do what you used to be able to do.
How many pros do you reckon live in Girona now?
Oof.
Compared to 20 years ago?
Man. Well, 20 years was what the land, so that was pretty much when it started, I think.
Yeah.
And I came 12 years ago. And when I came in winter, so even now, before everyone came back from Tour Down Under and everything, from Australia and Christmas and everything, it's, I remember going riding and it was myself, Dan Martin, Dominic Roland, and Christian Meyer. And that was it. No one else was here in the winter. Wow. It was like, no, it was 4 of us that would go riding.
And then what is it now?
Couldn't even tell you. The mixture of, there was no non-professionals lived here. And now there's this massive collection of people that love riding their bikes, and specifically probably, or especially through the pandemic, want a change of lifestyle, you know, can work remotely as well. A lot of people can do that more now as well. And it's just,
and I guess packed. This is what this ride's all about, right?
Yeah, like, man, like, I was just riding next to a 60-year-old guy from upstate New York, and he goes, no, we're here for a month. We've never been here before. Yeah. My wife and I, we came here, I unpacked the bike, and I'm here to ride my bike for a month and just enjoy himself. And he's on a group ride, and actually one of the most fun I have a lot of the time on these rides is when I don't have to wear like race clothes anymore, and people are like, oh, so what did you do? And I was like, well,
funny you say.
Funny you say that. I did actually do a few things, but it's kind of cool, you know. I think it's really nice that with cycling specifically, and it's kind of always been like that with bunch rides, it's not all about like just training and Strava, and like that's important, and people race, but is the community of it.
Yeah, 100%.
You know, it's how I grew up doing group rides back in Australia, and they kind of died a death for a while. And and I think what a lot of businesses and bike stores and stuff are doing now around the world is it's kind of bringing that back a bit more.
Yeah, 100%.
The community aspect, you know.
And it's good to see, you know, merging brand with community.
Yeah, no, totally. And that's And that's the other part about, you know, specifically about Castelli and Girona, is that you turn up, doesn't matter if you turn up wearing Rafa, it doesn't matter if you turn up wearing Pas Normal, you're on the ride.
Yeah.
There's no obligation, there's no egos, it's just about enjoying yourself.
Well said, Rory, I love that. Yeah.
So we are now, as I go into shadow, heading back to Girona. We've done our KOM Preem. Luckily I put away Rory. Yep. And now we're heading back to Girona, and where you and I can learn more about the cycling culture, a little bit about the history, and I'm hoping to find out some more, you know, peel back the layers of Girona, find out why it is such a cycling oasis. And back where we started. So heading back to the Castelli shop now. Back in to the town of Girona. Rory, what's happening?
How are you?
You good?
Yes.
Right, talk to me about here, because here's pretty important, right?
This is the ever famous Pont de Pedra, which is the bridge of stones. As you can see, the paving. And I guess what's important to this in the cycling world is that this has been the meeting place for rides since I came here. And actually, many years ago, I used to live in an apartment just up here, and Heshadal used to live just up here as well. And so I could see all the groups leaving every morning.
So you're never late?
So I never went on them. But generally speaking, the rule of thumb was, and still is this is the meeting point in Girona. And this was before all cafes, the cafes that we now have in Girona, came up, because opening hours used to be a bit different. But this is where pretty much every day you'll find a group of cyclists, professionals, amateurs. It's kind of that meeting point for where all rides start to go out. I've been coming for 14 years, and the first few years I was here, in winter, there was just 4 of us. There was 4 professional or cyclists here, and we would meet here, but there was no one else. There was no one else anywhere, no other cyclists. Well, the local community, nothing like what you see now. And I guess that's kind of blossomed that, like I said, this has been the meeting point, and now there's this mix of retirees, of young aspiring athletes, of people who want to change in their life and want to come to Girona, tourism, cycle tourism. It's just kind of blown up.
I mean, it's beautiful. Right, next stop, down there.
Down there. But just here on the right, this is Chapter 3, David Miller's clothing company. That's his office up there. And Factor just is now using part of that as well.
So, why here?
Why here? Oh, there's this little cafe here called Federal, which my wife and I started 6 years ago, when we decided that we actually wanted to stay in Girona, and we thought that it was missing a place that you can go and get brunch and all-day food, the things that we missed in where we were coming from. And so yeah, we decided to open a cafe, something that we never thought we'd done, and build everything inside in the Catalan way.
And it's not just a cafe that you do like proper food and
all menu, kitchen open all day, 7 days a week. Something that's quite kind of unusual here.
Yeah.
But a lot of it's got a kind of an Australian influence, a pretty big Australian influence, and you know, that brunch, the eggs Benedict, the French toast, pancakes, lots of sugar, lots of fat, not your typical athlete food, shall we say. Whoa.
Oh wow, it's beautiful.
Yeah. So when talking about the history specifically of Girona as well, like the things that we didn't have in Australia, I think that the history that we do have in Australia is like that old stone wall. This was originally there in the kitchen when we had to dig down in the kitchen to create more space for everything, and one of the original walls of Girona is actually under the floor there. We had to do an archaeological dig with the city to be able to know exactly what's there, to not touch anything.
Yeah.
Bones are there, human bones are there, which nobody cares about because they're apparently under every house, you know. And there's a stone in there under the kitchen in the dirt there that's obviously been left, and the archaeologist said it's from the year 400, the doorway to a house. So the history here is amazing. This is where the Romans marched to go back to Rome. They came up through here, through the Jewish quarter, up past the cathedral.
Bloody hell.
Rory,
Yes.
you've brought us to the Girona Cathedral, am I right?
Yes, the massive piece of historical a historical landmark here in Girona. As you can see out to the mountains of the Pyrenees, and for the budding athletes or the budding cyclists, there's a few towers over there. That's Roca Corba, which is probably one of the best known, definitely the best known climbs in the Girona area. One of the hardest as well, I will say. But yeah, it's an amazing day. You can see all the way to the Pyrenees. These stairs on the cathedral, if anyone's a Game of Thrones fan, was actually one of the, when you watch the show, there's a big green screen here, and it was the ocean. So the cathedral went into the ocean with all the boats and everything behind it. So they basically locked down the city for a few weeks to film that.
Were you an extra?
I was not an extra. I was still racing at that time, and yeah.
And you also said something really interesting here, is that, what was it? It's the widest?
I believe, and correct me if I'm wrong, people, but it's the widest cathedral in the Northern Hemisphere, I believe, or in Europe. Or in Girona, or any of the above, or in this little area. But it's pretty spectacular of like how someone built it so many years ago. I think the history here is, again, one of the reasons why people from Australia, the United States, the UK, that you come here and you don't, you know, we have history in Australia, but it's nothing like this.
So Rory, big question. Why Girona? Why do so many cyclists descend on this place? Why has this become one of, I don't know, a cycling capital of Spain?
It is. It's the what someone once told me. It's like it's the Mecca for cyclists. Is that all cyclists at some point in their life need to come and want to come to Girona. Now, why is that? It's a very good question. I think it's weather, proximity to a major airport, and this is the reasons for the professional athletes, and specifically the athletes originally from the United States, from Australia, from South Africa, those that can't go home during a season, is that you have to base yourself in Europe where the action is. So where do you go? You go where you've got friends, you go where you can feel comfortable, and you can choose anywhere to go in Europe, which is kind of pretty cool. And I think the reasons why we did it originally, and to why so many more people are coming now, is that the roads are safe. The roads are quiet. The roads are good. The weather's good most of the time. The quality of food and quality of living is fantastic for the price as well. It's not super cheap, but it's not crazy like big cities. You know, you have to think that Girona's 100,000 people. You know, it's got a university, so you've got that action as well. The restaurant scene, it's really changed for me personally in a very good way, while still holding the cultural and the Catalan impetus to what this place is. In the last 10 years has been dramatic. You know, and now we have a huge cycle tourism boom going on. And I think after the pandemic, people are pretty excited to get out and see new things, and yeah, it's the place to be now. I think it's really important to try and integrate to, you know, and speak the language and realize the history of a place and learn about it. Now, as a professional athlete, a lot of the time you're training, you're racing, you're living with you know, you said it yourself, you're living with English speakers in a house. You don't go anywhere, you're here to train, you're here to go get ready as a professional, and maybe you don't get involved in the community like you could or you should. Now, you know, I have children who go to school here. They speak Catalan, they speak Spanish, they speak English at home and at school, and learning other languages as well. I couldn't find that in the country I'm from, you know?
No.
So I think it is really important to respect the history of the town, respect the people, and you know, it's something that doesn't normally happen enough by a lot of athletes and people coming here who live here. But at the same time, I know a lot of Catalan people who are super excited to have people to practice English with, you know, like people that they can show the culture to their culture and really show everybody what Girona is.
Last question.
Yep.
Talk to me about like the Spanish way of life. Have you enjoyed
The Catalan way
of life? Have you enjoyed kind of, you know, embracing? I feel like it's the slower way of life.
It is. And that's what makes riding your bike here so great as well, is because it's more relaxed, and on the roads people aren't in such a hurry, so no one's sitting in traffic trying to get somewhere. They're doing, you know, they just wait for you to do your ride and then, you know, carry on and no problem. You know, there are a lot of things that are difficult to get used to, like sometimes the hour of eating, what time people eat here. But you come around and you get used to it, and now I'm happy to eat lunch at 3 o'clock in the afternoon and still eat dinner a bit earlier.
Yeah.
But you know, it's just, I think it's important for us or foreigners when you come here not to push or bring the lifestyle that you have somewhere else necessarily to here, is to embrace what they do here, and the Catalan community for me is an amazing kind group of people that, you know, I don't really want to be anywhere else.
No, good way. You're off that way.
I'm going this way, you going that way?
I'm going that way.
All right.
See you later, brother.
See you,
Appreciate
mate.
it, yeah?
So there you have it, the end of my day immersing myself in the cycling culture here in Girona. I hope you enjoyed this video. Well, if you did, you know what to do. Hit that thumbs up button. Unfortunately, we're not Game of Thrones and we didn't quite have the budget to hire the place out, so it's absolutely packed. Anyway, I'll leave you with that view.